are pleased to inform all Ugandans and visitors that peaceful internally and across all our domains. We want to start by informing Uganda that directed for an expeditious inquiry into allegations of theft of iron sheets and other relief items that were meant for Karamoja region, and this followed increased complaints from the intended beneficiaries and others. In line with the above a criminal investigation into this matter. The task is going to be handled by a joint team that comprises officers from the Office of the DPP, the Directorate of CID, and the State House Anti-Corruption Unit. We expect this team to expand on the preliminary inquiries that have so far been conducted and also further liaise with sister agencies like the Office of the Inspectorate of Government and even the parliamentary team that is investigating the same. We are going to interact with all concerned personalities to ensure an expeditious investigation. Now, the directive further demonstrates the commitment of government to fight corruption in our country. And now that we have a task force in place, we shall be giving progressive updates to members of the public as we proceed. Now, another area is that we want to talk about. You're aware that our Directorate of CID was investigating complaints of causing financial loss, an incident of causing financial loss, and other related conspiracies at the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation Limited. So I want to inform Ugandans that out of that investigations, we have 5 former employees of the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation who are going to court. We are charging them to court this afternoon for causing financial loss and for other related conspiracies. And the 5 suspects we have include Professor Waswa Tom David, who was a former managing director of the UPPC, Mr. Kaseke and Mujuzi Astrako, the former finance manager, and we also have Imbisiwe John Baptist, Ayebare Catherine, and Mr. Chigonya Robert, a former sales executive manager. Efforts are also in place to trace for 3 other suspects against whom these charges were sanctioned. They are still at large but are wanted. According to the facts that we gathered during the financial years 2019, 2020, and then 2020-21, the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation entered into 3 contracts with the Electoral Commission for printing and publishing materials for polling stations for purposes of display of the National Register for the 2020-21 general elections. Another contract was printing materials for nominating candidates for parliamentary and local government elections, and also for the local government council elections itself. As a result, the Electoral Commission transferred to the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation an estimated sum of funds totaling 15 billion 153 million 30,709 shillings, out of which an estimated 2 billion 261 million was allegedly embezzled, after which when the suspects chose to put themselves above the company and they agreed above the company and caused it a financial loss of 2.26 billion. Now, these embezzled funds were falsely presented as an 18% commission charge on the contracts with the Electoral Commission, and this was illegal because all ministries, departments, and professional bodies are not supposed to pay that 18% commission because these are government entities. But of course, the board tried to come up with, the board conspired and tried to come up with a fraudulent way of harmonizing this 18% as legal, which was against the direct procurement protocols by MDAs. So the case file was submitted to the DPP and charges of causing financial loss, contrary to Section 20, subsection 1 of the Anti-Corruption Act 2009. The second charge of dealing with suspect property, contrary to Section 21 of the same Act, and also conspiracy to defraud under the Penal Code Act. These three charges were preferred against them. So we will continue to warn all workers who betray the trust of their companies, employers, and institutions, and selfishly choose to put themselves and their greed over the needs of the company, that their days are numbered. Our Directorate of CID, Office of the DPP, and other local partners remain committed to identifying, investigating, and pursuing all those who attempt to enrich themselves through fraudulent means. Now, out of this money, that is 2.26 billion, you remember we carried out a search operation at the Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation offices, and we recovered 600 million, which we exhibited out of the 2.26 billion. So basically, that is that. And then last week we talked about the countdown to the stricter enforcement of the environmental crimes of littering and noise pollution. By the time we released this statement last week, we had 27 days to the 1st of April 2023, where we shall start the strict enforcement of EPS tickets for littering and noise pollution in the country. So as we stand today, we are remaining with 20 days for members of the public to take note of incidents of littering and noise pollution in the country. Yeah, these guys are obvious. Yeah. Now, we had a meeting with the National Promoters Association in the country, and this was to try to find a way of having a memorandum of understanding between the police and the National Promoters Association You remember very well that we had a very disturbing incident, which was tragic as we entered the new year. You remember the concert stampede and other issues, and because of that, we came up with a number of terms and conditions for organizers, promoters, for them to provide adequate security and crowd control for the events and venues, ensuring that there is sufficient first aid, sufficient fire and emergency arrangements for the event, depending on the type, nature, and scale. And then we also had agreed to them that they should always internalize the preventive guidelines that are always given to them by the police during the concert preparations, which should be made aware to the organizers, the promoters, as far as hiring private security, providing emergency medical services, crowd control, forging evacuation routes, and so on and so forth. But of course, we have harmonized a number of areas with the promoters, and today we invited them. They have a short statement that they wish to issue, and then they can go. But this is basically to ensure that revelers, well-wishers who go out for entertainment and for these entertainment shows are supposed to benefit, enjoy the money that they pay at these concerts and promotional events. And but some of them would always have issues that a number of promoters would come out and give false information. They line out a number of musicians who fail to attend, and then it causes commotion. Then there are also some promoters who don't invest enough security, ushers, bouncers in these promotional events. So you find it can easily bring about stampedes and people scaling these barricades and jumping onto the stages. Some of the musicians leaving the stages and jumping in the crowds. All these are behaviors that we really want to avoid. So let us give them 2-3 minutes. They read their statement in English and then in Luganda, then they can go, and then we proceed. Are we together?
Thank you so much. My name is Halima Namakula. I am the mother of the Ugandan musicians, and I'm also a promoter. The secretary was supposed to read it. He's away. This is NPA announcement, mandatory for all promoters that are to hold events in the country. Promoters Association, which is called NPA, is pleased to announce that effective Monday, 13th, 2023, all promoters organizing events in the country shall have to first acquire a letter of clearance from NPA. The NPA is committed to ensuring that promoters comply with the new development, irrespective of whatsoever association you are affiliated to. All coordinators from the listed regions shall have to acquire these letters from the head office of the National Promoters Association in Makindye, opposite the Magistrate Court. Regions from where these letters can be acquired: Kampala, Makindye, Western Nile, Karamoja, Elgon, Greater Masaka, Greater Mityana Rwenzori region, Kigezi, Lango, and Acholi. The NPA recognized the vital role that promoters play in supporting the entertainment industry in Uganda, and committed to providing the necessary support and guidance to its members to ensure that they can carry out their activities legally. This is signed by our Secretary General, NP. Munsi yaffe eno eya Uganda balina okufuna ebbaluwa ebakkiriza okuteeka patanalinga ne police ffenna tukolera wamu, si kulwanagana, tukolera wamu tusobole okuba nga tutambula bulungi. Era ba coordinators abali wansi wano betuli Lango Nacholi. Guidinga oba okulaga buli muntu yenna kye yeetaaga kiba kikwatagana no promotion ngera tuyita mu mateeka. Asayininze ye Balamu.
Smart 24, driving business.
Jerry con. Jerry con. Hey, Master Blaster. Touch him, man. Bang Jerry con with muscle. Those ones who say go is for you only.